computer. All right. Oh, good. Okay, good, good, good. New York City founder. And yes, I run into Reba everywhere I go, right?
Pretty much.
Right? We're fellow New
Because we're
Yorkers.
going to the
And
same events. So
yes, exactly.
I'm
I
not
go
sure
to
I'll
this,
make the one on the 14th. We'll see.
I hope so.
I
That'll be
hope so.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got one on the 8th too. I've got one on the 8th for if anybody's interested. I'm hosting an event. If you One thing I do is a lot of is I host a lot of women forward events for
Mm.
investors and founders. And next week, on the 8th, I'm hosting an event with Coyote Ventures, which focuses on healthcare. And
Oh.
oh, Stacy's here. And it's going to be for investors in health tech as well as for founders in health tech. So
Mm.
let me know, put your information right into let me know in the chat, and then I'll be able to very easily reach out to you and send you a personal invite to that event here in my.
It could also be a family office, right? Like a couple of the family offices, or that woman I was with in Greece, for example.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and we're doing a bunch of stuff in women's health. It's an area of focus for me personally, and so
Hmm.
I'm
Me
always
too.
excited to move that needle forward. So, oh boy, I'm so excited to see. Oh, Alyssa's here. Alyssa, I haven't seen you in a while. So great to see you, a fellow. Oh, Mara's here from Rise Children's Alliance. I'm on the board. Oh, and October 16th is that event, and I am filling a table of women for Rise Children's Alliance. You are all invited if you would like to be at my table, and it is all about helping transform the development of children who are in poverty, war-torn, uh, dangerous areas. And so we serve kids that are right now in Egypt who have left Gaza. We have kids that are in Ukraine. We have kids in Ethiopia, in Haiti with all the gang violence. So if you want to come, please, yes, 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 Mara, please post the details. And I have a table I'm building of just women for all of you. So if you want to come, let me know. All right, I'm going to get into this. So let me start by saying this. Business to me, and I think you'll agree, is the most innovative, powerful force in our world, whether we like it or not. Nowhere else can ideas percolate to the surface and be brought to the world in the ways that business can. And when we decide that we want to bring thoughtful, purposeful, positive solutions into the world, we make a difference. So when you look at government and education, all of these places also do great things, but nowhere can do it quite as effectively and as efficiently and without all the compromise that it takes to get through the red tape of academia and government the way that it can through business and organizations led by individual leaders. So we have the opportunity to shape the world. The second thing I'll say is that when we create teams and community, we have the opportunity. We're building teams. Before we were talking, I was mentioning earlier how important it is for us as founders, purpose-led founders, to create teams. And the reason for that is because we can choose to operate in an elevated way with our teams. When we choose to lead with compassion and remarkability and empathy, we allow the world to become, we allow our world, our microcosm to become a new model for how we interact with each other. And I saw this in my company over and over again. So let me step back and tell you a little about who I am. I'm Coco Selman. I'm a five-time founder. I now am also an impact investor, and I'm the builder of this system called A Force for Good. It is a system I've been building through my experience as a founder for 25 years. So I started my first company back in I think it was 98 or 99. And it was called the Zoe Collection. And it was sort of like a pre-Etsy Etsy. And if you remember, at that time, you probably weren't buying a lot of things online. Well, I learned that, right? So it was a business that stayed open for 4 or 5 years and then ran out of money and we closed the doors. But it was my first experience as a founder, and I subsequently have had several experiences as a founder that have helped me shape what the question that I've been asking myself for 25 years, which is what makes success inevitable? What practices, rituals, areas of focus, disciplines, what is it that makes success most prolific? And when I say success, I actually like to use the term growth more than success, because growth is something bigger. Growth is something that's not just about the external world, it's also about the internal world, right? So my intention is for me as a founder to grow as much as my company grows, for me to grow, for my company to grow, for my team to grow. And when we do that, we create a model where we're actually using our highest and best in business to foster healing and elevation in the world. So I've been asking myself for 25 years how to do this. And I've also been looking and seeing, like, what are the other models out there? And what I notice is as I've grown as a business owner, there's certainly certain information you need to have, right? You need to know about marketing. You need to know a little bit about finance. You need to know about compliance and what the rules are for operating a business. There are definitely pieces of information that you need to know. And early in my career, I bumped up against not knowing those things. So the Force for Good system solves for that. I'm not even going to talk about it because it's just sort of table stakes background. We have a whole system to help you design and build everything from your core purpose and your core values to your positioning statement to your, what your marketing funnel is and how to read it and how to tweak it. We have tools to help you also develop your budget and your forecast. All that is background, though, because what you really need is a system that fosters your ability to listen to your own wisdom and act on it, because that's what stops us. We get tied up. How many have had that experience where you know what you need to do for your business or in the world, but the day gets away from you and the fires start and the phone calls come and you start to get scared because somebody sends an email that says that you should be doing this other special thing that you're not doing. So now you're on a new tangent. Now you're like, oh, well, now I should go off and do this. So your ability to stay connected to your own wisdom and start to find ways to bring your team into your wisdom and allow them the space to invoke their wisdom into your business and then take consistent action. Well, gee, of course you're going to get there. It just makes sense. So that's what the Force for Good system is really all about. And so I'm going to take a moment here and figure out where I am in my slide deck, because I've kind of gone off course here, and we'll get us going through some of the content. Okay. The share button.
I'm just excited reading all of your intros.
Thank you for that.
Oh, good.
I'm here in the room.
Hold on. Push this button. That's that. All right. Now share. There we go. Ah, there it is. Voila. Okay. Business is the most powerful, innovative force in the world, and we can lead in solutions. We can lead in transformations, and we can create cultures. Next. All right. So here's the thing, and this is why what I'm going to present to you today, which is called the Founder Circle, is so important. So despite us as women having a higher return on capital than men, despite us having better payback rates on loans, despite us having women CEO run companies having higher stock performance, despite all that, we still are not able to demonstrate success in the same way that men have. So women scale past 1 million in revenue half as often as men. Women secure less SBA loans than men. Less than 2% of venture funding goes to women founders. Even less gain access to later stage funding. And only 17% of women, of CEOs are women. So it doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. The culture has not been designed for us. So we need to build a new system. We need to build a system of support in a world that doesn't yet understand or favor us. So that's what we're here to do. So the questions I've been asking is what's holding us back and what would make our growth inevitable? And this is what we all are here to do today. So I founded a company. My story is that I found a healthcare company called Illume Home Care. This was back in 2016. Many of you knew me at that time. Jessica was on my board, Jessica Goodman, who's here today. And the company came about because I have a medically fragile stepdaughter. So Amelia came into my life when she was 5. She is now 24. And Amelia was born as a twin. She was born at 27 weeks rather than the regular 40. And she came into this world very fragile. Unfortunately, her brother did not make it. And her life was different than a typically developing child. So Amelia is she has disabilities and she has remarkable brilliance as well. So Amelia, while she happens to be in a wheelchair and require around the clock care and be nonverbal, she also is a light in this world. And so it's been my pleasure to be a part of her life and her journey. And she inspired me. So when she was about 8 years old, her condition had gotten to a point where Cigna, our healthcare insurance program, would pay for 16 hours a day of nursing at home. So think about that. We were like, oh my God, because we had been like, trying to take care of her. We had the resources to have somebody with us, but it was really challenging. And other families in our situation, most of them were going through divorces and filing for bankruptcy. And, it's very hard to go to care for a child like this. So this inspired me to start Illume. And I'd never been in healthcare. Is anybody else in a industry that is one that you've never been in before, but here you are, right? So I found myself in this healthcare world, and it took me 2 years to just get our licenses and accreditation before with Medicare and with Medicaid and then other insurance companies. It took us 2 years to do that before we could even launch, but we had to prove and show that we had a company that could operate. So I had about 20 patients and several nurses and two full-time staff that were, were on my books. And so, it was a lot of money. I know cash flow is a big thing for all of us, right? Cash flow is a big thing. How you fund your journey is a big thing. So I was able to, get that up and running, and then we grew. And I will tell you, we grew really fast. We grew fast because we used the system that I use today. I developed it earlier in my career, and I used it, and we went from 0 to 6.5 million in revenue in 18 months. And, it was all about hiring enough nurses. It was all about making sure we were staying connected to our purpose, which was providing remarkable care to our patients, our families, our community, to the industry at large. We were devoted to bringing babies home from the hospital, which is typically what we did, and making sure we surrounded them with a team of nurses who could care for them. And one of the areas in the Force for Good system, an area that I've found for myself is most exciting. There's a component in our system called an area of chosen greatness. It's where you decide to be great as a company. It's a place where your company is uniquely suited to be great. It's a place where your customer desperately needs you to be great. And it's also a place where the profitability engine can be driven by that same thing. So for us, what that became our area of chosen greatness, the area we put 10x the energy and focus and resources, was to become the place that nurses wanted to work, to become great at enrolling and retaining the very best nurses who loved caring for individuals one-on-one. So we built the company, we got to a certain point, and then COVID happened. And COVID, like for many of you, I'm sure many of you had experiences in COVID, you were disrupted, your business was disrupted in COVID. How many in that situation, right? You felt it. So disruption for me is we were hiring 12 to 15 nurses a month. And that's how we would bring babies home from the hospital. That's how we were able to grow. And suddenly in COVID, we could no longer grow. And it was just like, suddenly we were like, oh my God, we can hire 3 people in 2 or 3 months. And we were losing people because they were working in skilled nursing facilities where there was all this COVID, and then they couldn't come back into our homes. And so it was a challenge. So in this moment in my journey, and we talk about in the Force for Good system, being of highest and best use, like what is the thing, and this is a question to ask yourself, what does your company need most from you right now? What is the thing that if you did the thing, it would move things forward in a powerful, prolific, and positive way? So for me, what happened is I was looking at my numbers and seeing the dashboard and like, oh my goodness, I've hired all these case managers to be able to oversee these cases, and now I am not growing. My monthly bills are really stacking up, and we are not growing. So at that moment, my highest and best use said to me, wow, I think we need a new strategy. We need a new way to grow. So at that moment, we decided, me and my board, we decided that the best path forward was to either buy another company or merge. And so that's what we did. We went and set out and looked at different options. And a year later, we closed and we merged with a company called Allpoint, which became the name of my company, Allpoint Home Care. And that was an incredibly difficult journey, and also a really important part of our journey. It was the right thing to do, albeit hard, right? Anybody had to do partners or mergers? Anybody in the group have done partners or mergers, it can be challenging. And so once that happened, what the amazing thing was is that it was incredibly profitable. Um, our right away we were able to assemble what the bankers always want to get, which is being able to sort of reduce operations, and then we didn't even mean to reduce operations. That there are our companies at the end, just my team ended up not wanting to work for the other team, and it was largely because our environment was so involved. They were so involved. They were so connected to the purpose. They had such a direct access to feeling like they were contributing, that when the opportunity to stay came and they stayed and they tried it out, they just felt like it was flat. So what I encourage you, so the end, we ended up having a very successful merger, but it was hard and it was difficult for me. And during that time is when I wrote A Force for Good. And it became my model of saying, this is how in the future I'm going to run every company. And then last year, right about this year, October 11th of last year, me and my partners, we sold the whole thing. We sold a Lumet Allpoint to a hospital. And we went through a journey to get there. We had two private equity offers on the table, and we had a hospital on the table. And in the end, we chose the hospital route. And that's a whole other long story. But the whole experience has helped me really understand what women need in order to succeed. One of the things I discovered along my way here was that, I don't know how I have this up here. Let me just stop sharing this for a second. One of the things I learned along the way is that as you grow in your journey, there are some really great programs out there that help you connect with other entrepreneurs. Those exist. And I was a member of all of them. And a lot of them, you had to have a certain amount of revenue or you had to have a certain amount of success in order to be invited. And I was honored to do that. But all of those rooms were men. And I learned tremendously from those. So the EOSs of the world, the scaling ups of the world, the YPOs, the EOs of the world. I learned so much from that. And what I realized is that when you spend time with other entrepreneurs that are going through what you're going through, you feel a sense of kinship, not alone. You can share with them things that you might not be able to share with anybody else. And because you always have to be the bright face. If you're the founder, you have to always come back to your team with that positive perspective, even when, the sky is falling or, suddenly there's no PPE for your team and you've got to send out, you've got 300 nurses you need to put in masks and capes and so forth. So you need to have that kind of a place. But what was missing for me was the way that women come together and the connection in the conversations that we have, the way that we gather teams, the way that we care for teams, the way that we understand customers and their needs is very different. And so I missed that. So as time went on, we sold the company last year, and so I launched last year. Also, in January, I launched the book, A Force for Good, and I began to say, okay, well, how can I help more women like you all be able to build successful, sustainable companies that will lead in impact, lead in profit. And so that was when a year ago we started really doing that. And so the questions I've been asking is, what makes business not just successful in an inevitable way? What sparks the brilliance in every member of your team? What fuels bold, courageous action? What creates cultures people love? How do we wake up every day and do the right thing? Do the thing that moves everything forward? What turns a business into a thriving, scaling, profitable company, and what allows a company to prosper long after the founders. So, the Force for Good system is an elevated model of leading companies and organizations in building both impact and profit. So, we help you accelerate impact, scale, and profit by looking at things a little differently. We work with founders who are leaders of purpose-led businesses. And what that means, any kind of business can be purpose-led, right? You can be selling undergarments, or I met a founder last week who's selling soap, or you could be, building a health tech company. Any kind of company where you decide that you're going to create a transformational experience for your customer is a purpose-led company. And so we gather around purpose-led businesses and organizations who long to grow dramatically in order to fulfill the purpose and impact that they champion. And it applies to service or product-based companies, retail or virtual, business to business or business to consumer, for-profit or non-for-profit. What unites these organizations that benefit most from the Force for Good system is they have a unique purpose. So, how the system works. I'm going to share my screen again. I can get myself to do that. Here we go. So, how the system works. We focus on 4 areas. So, I want you to imagine that you and everyone on your team knows at all times your purpose, who you serve, your impact plan, and your highest and best use. Everybody knows these aspects. So, how we do that is we develop a flywheel for your company. This is the first step. So, the Force for Good flywheel, it has all of these elements. And these elements show up on our 4-page growth plan. And so what we do is we work to help you quickly draft the first 4-page growth plan. And this includes things like, you'll see this is inception story, core purpose, core values, TAM, SAM, SOM, who they are, what they need, market positioning. It also includes things like 3 feelings to cultivate, your area of chosen greatness. It also includes all your products, what your pricing is, what your gross profit is, how much you're making year to year. It also includes what's your growth model based on your average revenue per customer. And are you a whale? Are you a deer? Are you a rabbit? Are you a mouse? So we have an assessment that helps you figure that out. And from there, it helps you see what's the best way for you to growth. Are you sales forward? Are you marketing forward? Some combination. And then it helps you identify what is your funnel. How are you going to create experiences that lead customers to transformative experience that have your customers come into your system, know you exist, and become customers who stay? We look at numbers, right? We have we have 12-month plan around conversion rates. How many prospects, how many suspects, how many prospects, how many new customers. We also look at then your plan, right? So what is your plan? You have, and we look out. So I want you to imagine that in the first section up here, in the first section, we focus on the purpose and the vision. So the vision is what the world looks like 100 years from now. The world looks like the brighter, better world. And then, so 100 years from now, that's what it looks like. Then we look here on the 3rd page and develop a 10-year impact plan. And so 10 years from now, the simplest way to look at this is how many customers would you like to help have a positive transformational experience? That's one way to look at it in 10 years. So you come up with a very specific impact plan where there's positive impact that you can share in the world, and there's also positive results for your business. So you define that, and then you look at your revenue and you look at your profit. Where do you want to be 10 years from now? And then you develop a whole SWOT analysis and strategy. And then the next big thing that I love, this is one of the most critical pieces, is every year we create a 12-month breakthrough. Not 3 12-month breakthroughs, one 12-month breakthrough. And the reason for that is that when you have one single focused area, especially as a newer company, a company that's still growing and isn't already, well developed like an Oracle out there, you want to be able to train your organization on how to become innovative, how to have breakthroughs. So we always have one big goal that we put 10x the focus and brilliance. And by doing that, it gives you and your team 100% clarity about what is your highest and best use, what everybody needs to do today to move the block forward. So this becomes the flywheel. And we put this together, you draft it. There's even a tool. I've developed a tool that you can partner, a GPT that you can partner with, and in 60 minutes, draft the whole thing. So that's first, we do this. Next, what we do is we spin the flywheel. So what usually happens is we create this, a plan, and then the plan goes shuffled away, right? It gets put away somewhere, and who knows when you're going to look at it again. But what we do is we spin the flywheel, and we do this through a series of rituals. The most important being, I like to implement the weekly and the monthly first. And those rituals allow you to focus on different elements of the flywheel every single week and every single month. And that gives you the ability to move your 12-month breakthrough forward. It teaches your team together how to be of highest and best use. You discover how to innovate, right? Where you experiment with something, try it out, and then measure it and see what worked. It also is the place where you develop culture. So a big distinction between the Force for Good system and many of the others out there is that these are just usually meetings, dry meetings where you look at data and people feel bad because they look at the data and it's never quite what you wish it was. This is where instead you take a very different stance and you always acknowledge whatever is there. We always find what's good with what is, because if you study any of the Eastern Arts, acceptance of what is the beginning of all greatness. It's the beginning of enlightenment. It's the beginning of healing. So we always want to create a space that's safe to share the truth. And that's what these weekly and monthly events are about. And then it becomes safe. It's a place of belonging and safety, and then innovation, where you start to create places where people can grow and discover their greatness and be acknowledged. So again, we start with the flywheel, we build it, and then we spin it. And all the while, we bring into this the idea of these three concepts, where we focus on who you are as a person, who you're being. And these are three commitments that we engender into our teams and into our businesses. First is be wise, next is be transformative, and after that is be of highest and best use. So, wisdom. Wisdom is what is most needed in our companies, right? It's not the next shiny object. It's not the next, idea to invest in something that might make things go faster and better. I mean, it could be, but what will guide that is your wisdom. So we incorporate into all of the tools that we have and all of the rituals that you're connecting to all three parts of your wisdom. So the thinking self, the feeling self, and the knowing self, right? So if you just take a moment right now, and I invite you to imagine you see yourself 12 months from now, or even better, let's look at the end of 2026. So we're at December 31st, 2026. What would you most love to see manifested in your company by December 31st, 2026? Just take a moment and write it down. What would you like to make real? What specific outcomes would you like to actualize? Just take a moment and write down whatever comes. No judgment. Okay, so now just take a moment and use your thinking self to look at what you've written down and add some more detail. The part of you who thinks, the part of you who analyzes, the part of you that looks for specifics. Make some edits. And now just take a moment and close your eyes. Just shake it off, whatever the thinking self has been telling you, and shake your shoulders and your head and your jaw. Come into your body now. As a woman, your body is wise. What does your body want? What does your body wish was real? What does your body say yes to for December 31st, 2026? What does your body crave? And write down what your body craves. What do you want to feel? What do you want to sense? What do you want to experience? Just notice what is different or unique about your desire for December 31st, 2026, when you come through the feeling self. All right, now I invite you again to just close your eyes for a moment if you're not driving. Take a moment to close your eyes. And now I invite you to move beyond just your physical body. And allow yourself to feel the pull of the earth and the sun and the white light all around you. Just let yourself connect to the part of you that knows, just knows. Part of you is wise. And I invite you to just imagine that you could be climbing up to the tip top of a mountain. You're just reaching the summit. And you're looking out over a vast, beautiful horizon. And this wise, knowing self sees what's on the horizon and can show you what is possible, where you're guided, where you're called, where your company can be great. What do you notice about your company? What do you notice about your customers? What do you notice about your team? What do you notice about your bank account? What do you notice about your partners? Who are the new faces that have come to you? yourself feel growth and prosperity. So go ahead and write down whatever you're sensing. Write down what you see is possible for your business, what you're called to create over the next year and change. And just notice how different those parts of you are. Notice how different the thinking, the feeling, and knowing self, and how much we spend time in the thinking and less in the feeling and the knowing. And as women, how powerful we could be if we together did more thinking with those areas invoked. Now, this does not mean that we just spend time in the ethereal. What it means is we bring the ethereal to the places of inquiry. So we can ask ourselves for guidance on anything, from our picture and vision of the world to how to think about our competitive plan to how we choose to create a abundant funnel. We can use this part of ourselves. So the Force for Good system contains a whole bunch of tools, but really 3 main tools, this being one of them, the 4-page growth plan. And they are tools that are completely useless without your wisdom. So they are tools that capture your wisdom. And the idea is they are designed to help you answer the question so that it's not hard. They're designed to help you not just think, but also feel and know, and then answer the questions. And they help you focus these questions when you answer them. So what happens is we do this iteration where you first create answers to all the questions on these 4 pages. And many of the questions you probably won't know the answer. You'll have answers, but they will be like you can feel in your body, you can resonate. No, I don't think this is really the end question, really the ultimate answer, but it's an answer. And then it allows you to start to iterate. And so you ask the questions, gee, what do I want my 10-year impact goal to be? And then in the background, your wise self, your knowing self, and your feeling self, and even your thinking self starts to solve these questions. The other thing that this format does is that it gives you the ability to co-create with your team. So it's not just, these are things that you've kind of thought about and they're mumbling around in your brain somewhere. They're actually now made manifest in physical form on paper, and you can talk about it with them. And you can then wrestle with the ideas with them. So now you're training them and you're helping them learn how to lead a company too. And this creates indelible alignment, which is what you need. See, what happens is everybody comes to work every day. And without indelible alignment, everybody just does what they think their job is, including you. And that may or may not be what the rest of your team thinks. And so without regular reminders and clarity about these things, we can't possibly be able to move our companies forward into multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar enterprises. Okay, the next tool is this is the transformational map. Okay, so the first tool of the 3 essentials is the 4-page plan. The second is the transformational map. And so this is a visual model of change. It helps us understand why it is that it's hard for us to change. We are creatures of habit, and we do what we do unless we have an impetus to do something different. So growth in a company requires change, which is part of why we don't think about it that way. We think that we can grow our companies by doing the same things, but in fact, we can't. If we keep doing the same things, we will get the same results. So change is required, but how do we create that change? How do we change ourselves? And how do we allow for that change to take place within our teams? So this is a visual model that helps you, for example, a desired outcome at the top is what we start with. So maybe you could think about the desired outcome that you were just thinking about when we were pondering before, your desires for December 31st, 2026. Think about that desired outcome. And then think about the bottom here is the current situation. Where are you today? What does progress look like so far? And what is not there? And then what we do is we start to identify, and most models will ask you to say, well, what are the steps you need to take? What are some of those outcomes or milestones that will get you there? But you also want to look at what are the skills? Are we asking people to do things that they're skilled to do? Do I have the skill to go out and go sell something when I've never sold anything before, right? Do we have the aptitudes? Do we have the competencies? And so what we want to do is we want to build a bridge where we can see ourselves taking the steps, or the company taking the steps, and we want to see the results we want to build to go from here to the new outcome. We also want to see where we're going to build those skills and competencies. Maybe we're going to bring in, we want to have a better sales system, so we might need to train our sales team, or maybe we're going to hire a new person somewhere. And then we look at the systems and resources. Do we have the systems and resources in place that will make the new desired outcome possible? How much friction exists? So we want to look at what are the ways that we can ensure that this is something that happens. It's also looking to see what systems that will help us stay on track. This is where our weekly meetings and our monthly dashboards could create systems that make sure we stay focused. And then what we think about are all the beliefs. And this is the part that we don't always focus on. So what are the limiting thoughts and beliefs? And how can we, because on the other side of every limiting thought is an empowered truth. So we want to name the limiting thoughts that we have about achieving that goal. And then we want to also see, well, if I do the things, even though I fear I am not good enough or I don't know how, then I'm going to discover on the other side, as I cross the bridge, I'm going to discover I'm capable and I'm powerful. So we want to name those in advance. What are the fears that we have? Because those will become gifts. What are the excuses that we have? Because that will become our resourcefulness. What are the fearful feelings that we're going to have? This is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. Like when you go through change, most of us go through emotion. And so what you end up here with is you are able to visually see what this change looks and feels like. One goal has a lot of heft to it. It has a lot of change underneath the surface beyond just the actions we take. So when we look at this, we can create a community, an environment, a culture that's supportive of this transformation. So a big part of what we do in the rituals is make it safe for people to be able to take these steps. All right, so then the last piece we talked about, be wise, be transformative, be of highest and best use. So you may have started to think about in this step some different areas, some things you need to cross, the bridge you need to travel to get from where you are today to the new outcome. Now we want to think about action. So action is what you do every day is the most powerful thing about you. Like sometimes it's sitting and waiting and listening within, and that can be your action. But then what you choose to do with your time, your energy, and your resources is what will move things forward. Every day you have the power to be of highest and best use. So what if every day you and your team took the most positive and prolific action to move the company forward? So just ask yourself, what would be the thing that you could do in the next year? What's one thing you could do to be of highest and best use to your company in the next year? Write it down. One thing you could focus on, one thing you could achieve, one thing you could check off the box, deliver that one product, complete that book. What is it? And then what is one highest and best action that you could ensure in your company this quarter? All right, so between now and December 31st, 2025, what's one thing you could actualize? What would be of highest and best use for your company in terms of impact, scale, profit, moving you towards that goal that you defined earlier? Write it down. And then what is the place, what is the action, the highest and best use for this month? What could you do in the next 30 days by October 31st? What's one thing you could do to be of highest and best use? And now what could you do this week? By this Friday? One thing. Move you forward. And what about today? What's one simple way? Maybe it's something that takes less than 5 minutes, but it's one thing that would move you forward. So this is how the Force for Good system works. So just take a moment and notice what you desire. Okay? Desire is an important part of a woman's journey. So my desire in building the Force for Good system and in building the Founder Circle is to build beautiful companies, remarkable companies in community with other women, to follow a refined system, follow and refine a system together that creates abundance for us all. To have a circle of peers and advisors to reflect upon and to, in the journey, heal, grow, and prosper. So let me now share with you the Founder Circle. So if you go to aforceforgood.biz, I'll share forceforgood.biz. Here we are. And you go to offerings and you go to Founder Circle. I'm just going to copy this, put it into the chat if I can locate it here. Okay, let's see. So Founder Circle. So what it is it's a way for us all to come together and build our companies. I'm going to take us right down to what's included. So here we are. So Founder Circle. So what it's going to start out with is we have 3 different options. Really, I'm talking today about these 2 options, Founder Circle Gold and Founder Circle Standard. And what it comes with is this. So for Founder Circle Gold, what it comes with is you start out with a planning retreat, a 1-day planning retreat that you can do either virtually or you can do in person here in New York. I highly recommend you come here to New York and you do the 6-hour retreat with me. And then we spend the evening together and break bread and get to know each other together as a community. But we will also have a virtual option for you. Then we will have 3 quarterly retreats. Now, again, the question is, what will make success inevitable? And what I have found in my own journey, working with other founders as well as working through myself, is that having these moments in time where you can meet together without anything else to focus on other than you you and your company, and you can do it in the community of other women, it will cause you to create clarity and alignment in places that you didn't have before. So we do 3 quarterly retreats, and that will take place on a quarterly basis. And then we also offer dashboard facilitation. And this sounds boring, but really it is powerful. What this is it trains your team as well as you on how to conduct and run these dashboards weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. And then you also get a monthly roundtable. Okay, so this is what the Founders Circle basic plan includes the roundtable, and the roundtable is a monthly opportunity for you to have a group of advisors. So it's structured much like a mastermind. So we come together, it's facilitated, and we work on our businesses together. You also have unlimited monthly office hours, which I schedule. You get 60-minute strategy session with me, and you get the entire growing collection of online tools and resources, including the GPT I mentioned before, that can help you build your plan in just a couple of hours. So in every month we'll have more master classes and more opportunities, but it'll always help you stay focused on what you're breaking through and what your plan is. So I invite you to consider enrolling today. And if you do today, you will get 50% off by using Launch, LAUNCH 50. Launch 50 is where you can then get 50% off of the program. So right now it's $299 for the gold per month, $299 per month for 12 months. For the regular, it's $69 per month. So the Founders Circle standard doesn't include the retreats, but it includes everything else, including the roundtables and the office hours and a strategy session with me. So those are the 2 different ways you can get involved today. And you just go through the process. If you put in Launch 50, you can get 50% off today. The price will go up as the months go up. This is a very valuable offering that will that other similar packages are in the $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 a year. This is much less right now. So I invite you to consider this as a possibility for you, as an opportunity to step up and say yes to your future and to building your company together. It would be my honor and pleasure to build in your presence and to grow together as our companies and our teams flourish. So with that, I would just love to open it up to any questions that you might have, any breakthroughs that you might have, any lessons or moments of discovery. I'd just love to hear what is on your mind. You can also put it in the chat if that's better for you.
I'll jump in quickly. I just thank you for the, activities and things to think about. And I'm so excited to chat with Claire about this after and see where we're aligned and, continue these conversations. So feeling super excited.
Wonderful. Elise, so glad you're here.
Thanks.
Yay. Go ahead, Stacy.
I'm in. I was like buying it and then you're like, it's a discount. Anyway, I'm like all in because I love everything you're doing and your energy and just like I think you know this about me. I'm like bull in the headlights where I'm just like, go, go, go. And like, I just feel like this is going to ground me in a way that I feel like crying, honestly. Like, I just feel like this is like what I need to like ground me and be able to like have me see everything from like a 10,000-foot view, but then also be able to like integrate it in a really powerful way. So, and then your energy is just like exactly like what I need. And I feel like, a lot of times you're in these like places and it's like coming from a money place or coming from this other place. And I feel like you're so like impact driven that that's what I'm really excited about. So yeah, there's just a lot that's coming up right now. So thank you. Thanks for this.
Oh, Stacy, that means the world to me. And just so y'all know, Stacy is extraordinary. Stacy, I met through Carrie Kirpin and the Whisper Group. And so we are exited founders together. And so Stacy has done some really amazing things, and she has done a TED Talk that's on the topic of do the thing, and she is all about doing things in community and how important it is to have, if you have a shared goal, if you have a goal, the fastest way to get to the goal is to find a community that shares that goal, and then work together and do it. Because then what happens is you watch each other, and I've been in her dares, I've done her challenges, and what happens is you see other people doing the thing, whether it's building their core purpose or, figuring out what their growth model is, and you see other people do it, and then you go, oh, I didn't think of it that way, right? And I didn't know that that could be a possibility. So being in community really does expand our wisdom. Yay. Anybody else anybody else have anything you want to share? Anything you discovered? Any questions? Well, I am just delighted that you could be here today. It's just my pleasure to be in community with you, and I look forward to the opportunity to support and serve you as your business continues to thrive and grow. And I always like to say, the world is made better by women-led business. So let's all go make the world a better place. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.